Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jacob Brier. I'm a member of the Barrington Town Council here in Barrington, Rhode Island. And this is Banter with Brier. This is our second streaming, and it is an opportunity for me to help share with folks some of the reasons why I believe it's so important that we all do our part with the social distancing and all of the new protocols help people feel comfortable doing their part for our crisis. The first thing I'd like to do, the programs that folks in our community are trying to get up and running to help their neighbors and help people throughout Barrington, throughout the region. One of these is an idea called the Sunshine List, and that is going to be a volunteer call group that will call and reach out to seniors in the community, have a conversation each day about really any topic. It's to engage socially, because many folks in the community are missing out on some of the only interactions that they have. If you don't have immediate family in the area, you don't live with anybody else. The senior center, for example, has lunch every day, but that's closed down. And so this is a way for people to continue to stay connected to the folks in their community. There's also the Rhode Island Protective Mask Makers Network. This is a group of people who have found various templates and instructions for making protective masks. Maybe not to the same safety standards as the N95 masks that we hear about, but those are in short order, and our hospitals, our healthcare workers are not treating patients in a way that fully protects them and fully protects all of their patients from the transmission of this, simply because we had been inadequately prepared as a nation to take on this crisis. I want to remind everybody of the COVID-19 hotline that we've set up at Barrington Town Hall. The phone number for that is area code 401-247-1900, extension 384. And that's a number to call if you have questions or concerns about yourself, if you have anything emergent that you think needs to be known, or if you want to volunteer your time and energy or resources to help in the community. There's also a larger program that's being put together called Channel 02806, and that's going to be operating similar to a TV network. It will have programming that features local news, coping and learning skills for while we're all at home, staying in place, health and wellness programming, and kids' talent shows, things like that. They are looking for producers, editors, directors, talent, anybody who wants to be on film. It will not likely be live, but it'll be pre-recorded in everybody's home, people working together remotely to produce that and make that happen. Some additional information about those things, as well as the opportunities to sign up, can be found on my website. If you go to jacobbrier.com/banter-resources, and that can be linked to from here. I forgot to hold this up last episode, so I'm going to just hold this up now. This has my social media contact, my email, and that website there. Feel free to use the email at any time if you have questions about what's going on now, anything I've spoken about, or if you think there's a topic that I should cover, please reach out and do so. I'd like to remind everybody and maybe help explain some of the different regulations that have come into place because of this public health crisis. There seems to be some confusion regarding the gatherings of 10 or more being prohibited. So that is a clear prohibition right now. No gatherings of 10 or more, whether inside or outside, are allowed to take place. That doesn't mean you are safe and that you are protecting yourself and others by being in a group of 8 or 9 or 10 people. Everybody should remain only with their household. As much as possible, stay in your home when you have to leave to take care of grocery shopping, or if you have to go to work, or If there are other things that are extremely important that you have to take care of, do so using precaution. But aside from that, you really shouldn't be gathering with other folks. It's really important to slow the transmission of this virus. As we all know, there's no dine-in restaurants. As of today, the governor has announced that almost all non-essential businesses, all the businesses in the recreation and entertainment industry, all close proximity businesses like salons and fitness centers, they all must close because there just simply isn't the opportunity to remain 6 feet or more apart from each other as we all should be. Additionally, something that's new is anybody flying in, even if it is a domestic flight, will need to quarantine for 14 days. And as a reminder, if you are in the grocery store or picking something up, if you have to go to the post office, give everybody around you space. Make sure that as you're waiting in line, you're keeping your distance from the folks ahead of you. And if the folks who are behind you in line, if you could give them, a friendly reminder and ask them to give you some space. What we're trying to do here is limit the spread of this virus. We can't prevent it and we can't get rid of it. But what we can do is allow our healthcare providers to have a fighting chance at saving us. What it is if this spikes too quickly, and we've seen, we want to flatten the curve, lower the curve. If this transmits too quickly, there just simply aren't the resources in the hospitals to take care of us. We have expert healthcare providers in this area throughout the country who can take care of people, but they only have so many resources at once. And that's why we're all staying home and we're limiting the spread so that we can avoid overwhelming our healthcare system. That's what we've seen happen in Italy, it happened in China, and it's happened throughout other parts of Europe. They've overwhelmed their system, and the folks who are trained and who are able and who generally have the resources to help people are overwhelmed and unable to do so. To that point, there are two other things that I'd like to touch on. One is wearing masks. In Italy, and there's an article on my resources page about this. In Italy, the Ministry of the Interior has given a call out now requiring everybody to wear masks when out in public and when in circulation with other people. Everybody is wearing masks because they found that this virus does spread very easily, and they want everybody wearing a mask. We're not there yet. The Rhode Island Department of Health has not issued that call. But as a precaution, if you are out and you are concerned about transmitting a virus to other people, or you're concerned about it for yourself, there are people who believe that wearing the masks now is something that could be responsible for anybody to do. A project we're working on with some of the folks in those programs I mentioned earlier is hoping that we can get some volunteers established who will do effectively curbside grocery shopping for folks at Shaw's in town, whether it's seniors, people with immuno deficiencies, or single parents who don't want to have to bring their children into the market. If people can pull up, can hand their order to somebody, volunteers can go in, do their shopping for them, and bring the food out, that'll give an opportunity to keep fewer people in and out of the market, and that also is a way to help save folks. I'd like to dedicate the rest of this segment to something I spoke about last time, and that's the idea of remaining socially connected while physically distant. We have the term social distancing, but what we do need to do is find ways to remain socially connected. The idea of Channel 02806 is a way for our community to do that. Me giving these live streams is a way that I try to do that. And I wanted to just share one thing that my family is doing to help our son remain socially connected to his friends at school. is an idea was given to me by somebody who I've been interacting with on Facebook through this process, and she made a suggestion of a pen pal. And so I texted with one of the moms of a classmate of my son's, and we decided that they'll be pen pals during this. And it's something that most kids now aren't doing, because who sits down and writes a letter? But what we discussed with our son, is that he's going to make comic books. He likes making comic books, and so he's going to do a couple pages of a comic book, and he writes a letter to his friend, and we'll send it off. And then a couple days later, his friend will write the next couple pages of a comic book and send it back this way. And who knows? Maybe it'll end up being a graphic novel by the time we're through this process. But it's a way for them to stay engaged with one another, to be working on something creative that they can then be proud of at the end. And I think it's doing things like that, finding ways to implement something new into our lives during this process. It will help us both engage now in what we're going through, but also reminds us that despite the walls that are around us that we're not getting out of as much as we'd like to, we are still connected with one another. We are not each a man on his own island. And what we can do is keep those webs intact. We can keep our network of friends, of coworkers, of family still connected by finding new ways to engage. We can't spend as much time in the same space, but we can still occupy the same or similar parts of each other's lives. And that's a way that we'll get through this. The thing that scares me the most, or I shouldn't say scares me, the thing that concerns me the most about this virus is, what is it going to do to our communities at the end after we've spent so much time apart? And I think we have the opportunity to show how resilient humans are, to show that we can keep our tight bonds through this. And as I did last time, I have a quote that I'd like to share that I read, and I was thinking a lot about the individual versus the collective. And that's also something I touched on last time, was this idea that we are all doing our own thing by being away from each other. But in us all doing that, we're doing something together that unifies us in isolation, unified in isolation. And it's an interesting concept. And I think I'm going to keep coming back to that, because I think that's where the power of us succeeding through this public health crisis lies, is in knowing that what we're doing while being alone is not something that we are doing alone. And so this quote: "I respect and value the ideals of rugged individualism and self-reliance, but rugged individualism didn't defeat the British, it didn't get us to the moon, build our nation's highways, or map the human genome. We did that together. This is the high call of patriotism." That was said by Cory Booker, I think in the past year. And I'm Jacob Brier. This has been Banter with Brier. I'm asking you to be patriotic now. Be patriotic in staying home. Stay healthy.